in the presence of God of Destruction Beerus, legendary Super Scion Broly and Kakarot in the sky. I clearly chose the Scion Kakarot, who possesses multiple forms. Yet I was mocked by every student in school as a trash half-beast who couldn't even beat a toy poodle. Even my fiancée humiliated me in public and chose to break the engagement. All because in this world where everyone awakens Dragon Ball powers, everyone can choose from 3 awakening options. And due to the severe lack of Dragon Ball culture, Kakarot's initial template after awakening was actually the F-rank low-class warrior with the lowest initial combat power. But as a die-hard Dragon Ball fan, I sneered at this. Right now, at Jiangqing First High School, the Awakening Plaza, I stand amidst the dense crowd, looking up at the massive awakening stone in midair. The 18-year-old awakening ceremony, in this world full of abyss monsters and dimensional rifts, is the only path to change one's destiny. Buzz, a brilliant purple-black light erupted from the awakening stone. Strong energy fluctuations whipped up a gale, making it impossible for anyone to open their eyes. In midair, 3 massive star spirit projections slowly emerged. An invisible pressure instantly enveloped the entire plaza. On the big screen, the ratings of the 3 options stung everyone's eyes. Option 1, A-rank Star Spirit Demon Sabo. Option 2, S-rank Star Spirit Ginyu Force Captain Ginyu. Option 3, SSS rank Star Spirit Freezing Demon Frisia. The whole place fell silent for a second. Then, frantic screams erupted that could blow the roof off. To actually roll an SSS rank option, School Beauty Lin's luck is simply heaven-defying. Is there even a need to choose? Of course she'll choose the Emperor of the Universe, Frisia. Peak power from the moment of appearance, coming with world-destroying power. Jiangqing is about to produce a true dragon. I looked at the proud figure on the awakening stage, Lin Shui, the daughter of Jiangqing's top conglomerate, and my childhood sweetheart and fiancé. At this moment, she raised her snowy white chin like a proud swan. She reached out without hesitation, passing straight through the first 2 phantoms, and pressed her hand onto the Frisia projection, emanating a purple-black evil aura. Radiant light poured into her body. Lin Shui's aura surged instantly. She turned around, scanning everyone below with a superior gaze, like a god looking down on ants. A haughty sneer curled on the corner of her lips. The examiner's voice, due to extreme excitement, was still slightly trembling. The crowd automatically made a path. All eyes instantly converged on me. I wonder what options Suyu will roll. With his theoretical talent, it should at least start from S rank, right? Definitely. He is Lin Shui's fiancé. After all, if he awakened as a waste, the Lin family wouldn't want him. Amidst the discussions of the crowd, I walked onto the stage with a calm expression. As a transmigrator, I have endured and studied here for 18 years, waiting for this very day. I took a deep breath and pressed my palm firmly onto the awakening stone. Boom! The moment my palm made contact, the originally clear sky was suddenly covered in dark clouds. Dark purple lightning raced wildly through the clouds, emitting a deafening roar. The entire land of Jiangqing actually began to tremble slightly at this moment. What's happening? Earthquake. Look at the sky. A piercing scream erupted from the crowd. 3 phantoms, 100 times larger and more terrifying than Frisia's, forcibly tore through the void, like 3 insurmountable mountains, descending upon the plaza. That world-destroying pressure caused many students in the front row to buckle their knees, collapsing onto the ground. The text on the big screen flashed frantically, turning into a piercing blood red. Option 1, SSS rank Mythic Star Spirit God of Destruction Beerus. That is a purple hairless cat god with indifferent eyes. Option 1, SS rank Mythic Star. That is a purple hairless cat god with indifferent eyes. A sliver of purple destruction energy, capable of erasing an entire galaxy, swirled around his fingertips. Option 2, SSS rank Mythic Star Spirit Legendary Super Demon God Broly. A figure with muscles like mountains and blank white eyes. A terrifying god of slaughter emitting a violent green aura. Option 3, F rank Trash Star Spirit Low Class Warrior, Unknown Half-Beast. A youth wearing a tattered orange GI, with a monkey tail trailing behind, looking somewhat frail. Double SSS rank options. The examiner fell to his knees with a thud, trembling like a sieve. The crowd below went completely wild. Everyone looked at me as if I were a monster, their eyes filled with extreme shock and fanaticism. Double mythic rank. And the pressure was even more terrifying than Lin Shui's Frisia. This is a miracle that breaks all human historical records. My god, Suyu is defying the heavens. Just by picking any SSS rank, he will become the future's #1 guardian god god of China, instantly ascending to godhood. I turned my head, glanced at Lin Shui in the VIP section. Her once proud face had now turned pale. Her lips trembled slightly. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and disbelief. She thought she was already the center of the world. Little did she know my choice would crush the myth she took pride in to dust. But at this moment, my heart remained exceptionally calm, because in my mind, a crisp mechanical voice, audible only to me, was echoing. Law ceiling locked. Ding! Myriad Realm Star Spirit Library detected. Host, please make a choice. Option 1, Perfected Ultra Instinct. Warning. God of Destruction Beerus has extremely high initial combat power, but restricted by the current plane's law ceiling, it is locked, and Perfected Ultra Instinct cannot be comprehended for a lifetime. Warning. Legendary Super Saiyan Broly's combat power grows exponentially, but accompanied by extreme mental backlash. Deep awakening will lead to a complete loss of sanity, becoming a beast that knows only slaughter. Tip. Option 3 Kakarot Son Goku. Initial combat power is low, but possesses infinite growth and near-death breakthrough Zenkai boost. An absolute cheat. Choosing this option, the system will assist you in ascending as the only true god of the multiverse. I looked at the two deities before me, whom all of humanity worshipped frantically. A barely perceptible smile curved my lips. To the people of this world, the god of destruction and the legendary Super Saiyan are unreachable peaks. But in my eyes, knowing the Dragon Ball system, the god of destruction's ceiling is locked. The legendary Super Saiyan is a mindless lunatic. The only true infinite possibility is that Saiyan who always breaks his limits and grows stronger against stronger foes. Amidst thousands of fanatical, expectant, and even awestruck gazes, I slowly raised my hand. I passed straight over the god of destruction, radiating endless divinity. I passed over the incomparably violent Broly, and then, as everyone's expressions began to freeze, I firmly pressed my hand on that F-rank star spirit with a monkey tail and a combat power of only 5. The divine phenomena filling the sky instantly vanished. 2 SSS rank gods shattered into a rain of light, leaving only a shabby orange phantom, which merged into my body. The data on the big screen finally froze. Awakener, Suyu. Chosen star spirit, F rank low class warrior. Initial combat power 5. Danger level, F rank. Extremely useless. The wind stopped. The wind died down. The awakening plaza of Jiangcheng First High School was so silent that you could hear a pin drop. After a full half-minute, a wave of incredulous gasps began to erupt one after another. What did he do? He gave up 2 SSS rank gods to choose an F rank monkey with a tail? Crazy. Suyu is crazy. Suyu has gone mad. There's definitely something wrong with his head. The gazes that were once full of awe instantly turned into pity and confusion, as if looking at a world-class idiot, finally evolving into undisguised contempt and wild laughter. Ha! I thought he was a peerless genius, but it turns out he's a peerless moron. A combat power of only 5. Even the toy poodle I keep at home has a combat power of 8, choosing a demi-human with a fatal weakness in its tail. I could do that too. Amidst the storm of ridicule, the sound of hurried high heels approached. Lin Shui, clicking in her heels, rushed onto the stage in a fury. Her face, which was originally pale, was now flush red from extreme absurdity and anger. She pulled out that yellowed marriage contract from her bosom, and in front of all the teachers and students, tore it violently into pieces, then slammed them hard against my face. Suyu, you are not only a waste, but an irredeemable idiot. Lin Shui's eyes were filled with undisguised contempt, as if she were looking at a piece of disgusting trash, ignoring the gods, only to choose trash that's worse than a dog. Someone with a sick brain like yours doesn't deserve to stand beside an SSS rank like me. This engagement is void. Facing the paper scraps falling like heavy snow, facing the ridicule of the entire school as if I were mentally challenged, I didn't get angry. I didn't even frown once. I only silently felt the Saiyan blood within me, weak yet seemingly able to swallow the starry sky at any moment. Then I looked calmly at Lin Shui. It was the kind of pity a superior has when looking down at an ant. Gods, I gently brushed the paper scraps off my shoulder, and softly uttered a few words, mistaking a ceiling for invincibility, mistaking infinite potential for waste. Lin Shui, you are all nothing more than frogs in a well. I looked directly into her eyes, full of ambition and arrogance, a cold smile curving my lips. I hope that in the future, the Frisia you take pride in can withstand a single punch from this piece of trash. After leaving Jiangcheng First High School, I ignored the pointing and whispering behind me, as if they were looking at a retard, went straight to Jiangqing's largest underground martial arts gym. This is where awakeners usually train and take bounty missions. The moment I pushed open the gym doors, the noisy lobby suddenly fell eerily silent for a moment. Then, a burst of laughter erupted, even more unrestrained than at school. Holy crap. Look, isn't that the absolute idiot who gave up double SSS rank myths today, just to pick an F rank monkey? Ha! Great genius, Sue. Can your half-beast spirit with a combat power of only 5 even hit the lowest level punching bag here? I heard he wasn't just publicly dumped by his fiancée, but was also completely blacklisted by the Lin family. If I were him, I would have found a hole to crawl into long ago. He actually has the nerve to show up at the gym, facing the undisguised ridicule and contempt around me. I couldn't even be bothered to give them a second glance. How could sparrows understand the ambitions of a swan? Discussing things with frogs in a well who mistake infinite potential for trash is a complete waste of time. I walked through the lobby expressionlessly, under the gaze of the staff who looked at me like I was an idiot, and swiped open the door to the VIP private training room in the deepest part of the gym. The heavy alloy door slowly closed, completely shutting out all the noise and mockery from the outside. I took a deep breath, and with a thought, brought up the system panel that only I could see. System. Use the extreme gravity training room access from the newbie gift pack. Temporary control of the training room hub acquired. Gravity adjustment limit removed. Current gravity 1x, standard Earth gravity. Please set the target gravity. Host. Set it directly to 10x. I issued the command without hesitation. In the original Dragon Ball series, when Goku first embarked on his journey to Namek, he trained frantically under 100x gravity. As a newly awakened base form Scion, 10x gravity is the limit my current body can withstand, and the best threshold to trigger my potential. Warning: 10x gravity far exceeds the limit of an ordinary F-rank awakener. Forcing it open has a high probability of causing internal organ rupture. Continue? Activate. Boom. As soon as I spoke, the gravity generator in the training room emitted a deafening low-frequency roar. Immediately after, an invisible and terrifying pressure, like a mountain of steel, crashed down upon me. My legs buckled violently, nearly slamming me flat onto the floor. My entire skeleton made a cringing, crackling sound under the pressure, as if it would completely shatter in the next second. Blood flow became incredibly difficult. My heart was like an overloaded water pump, beating wildly in my chest, as if it were about to leap out of my throat. Too heavy. Even lifting a single finger required all the strength in my body, but instead of shrinking back, I forced a grin, revealing that fanatical smile of extreme longing for battle carved into a Scion's bones. Is this the price of power? This feels amazing. I grit my teeth hard, planting my legs firmly on the alloy floor, slowly straightening my curved back, feeling the blood in my body gradually begin to boil. System. Activate basic skill, Kaioken. Kaioken activated. HAH. With a roar, the dormant Scion blood within me completely exploded under the stimulation of the pressure. Strands of visible dark red aura, like burning blood-colored flames, surged violently out of my body, illuminating the dim training room in a blood-red glow. The mountain that had been crushing me under the wash of this violent red aura instantly felt much lighter. Not enough. Still far from enough. Feeling the power growing exponentially within me, my gaze became increasingly frantic. Scions are a warrior race that constantly breaks through at the limit of life and death. 10x Kaioken. Boom! The violent red aura shot toward the ceiling like magma erupting from a volcano. Under this terrifying pressure, the alloy walls of the VIP training room actually began to tremble slightly, and even developed fine cracks. At the center of this blood-colored storm, I felt every muscle in my body filled with an explosive, terrifying power. The tail, once seen by the world as a fatal weakness, was now filled with powerful resilience, whipping excitedly behind me like a steel lash. Time passed second by second. In this isolated room, I was like a tireless machine, pouring out sweat frantically under 10x gravity. Punching, kicking, dodging, every single movement was breaking the limits of this body at a visible pace. White sonic boom clouds continuously exploded in the air. 3 hours later, a shrill and piercing top-level air raid siren suddenly tore through the skies of Jiangqing. I slowly pushed open the door of the training room. Me at this moment, the white shirt I'm wearing is completely soaked with sweat, clinging tightly to my body, outlining muscle lines as explosive as a cheetah's. The violent aura of the Kaioken has been perfectly contained within me, but if you look closely, you'll find that with every step I take, a shallow footprint is left on the hard alloy floor. The sudden surge in power means I still need a little time to adapt and control it. I walk into the hall, and find those awakened who are mocking me, now in complete chaos, each with a pale face, staring at the holographic screen in the center of the hall, their eyes filled with despair. On the screen, aerial footage of the area outside the city is playing. A dark mass of monsters is surging toward Jiangqing like a tide, leaving nothing but wasteland in its wake. In the sky, several massive flying beasts are breathing fire, turning the defensive positions outside the wall into a sea of fire. The news anchor's voice carries an undisguisable panic, echoing throughout the martial arts hall. Breaking news: a C-rank void rift has appeared in the northern suburbs of Jiangqing. Initial estimates suggest a monster tide of over 10,000 beasts is approaching. The military's first line of defense is in critical condition. The Jiangqing Defense Bureau is now issuing the highest level mobilization order. All awakened in the city are requested to proceed to the north wall immediately for support. Defend Jiangqing to the death. A wave of desperate wails erupts from the crowd. How could a monster tide suddenly break out? A C-rank rift. That means there are high-level monsters comparable to S-rank star spirits leading them. For those of us who aren't even B-rank, going there is just suicide. Run to the underground shelters. Just as everyone was trembling, scurrying like headless flies to find cover and escape, I casually wiped the sweat from my forehead, my gaze passing through the broken floor-to-ceiling windows of the hall, looking toward the billowing smoke in the north of the city. A low-level monster tide? I stretched my wrists, my joints popping with a crisp sound, a trace of uncontrollable excitement curling at the corner of my mouth. Deep within my dark eyes, a terrifying flash of blood-red light flickered, just in time to use you to test my fists, to see exactly how hard they are. Amidst the terrified and bewildered gazes of countless people, I put my hands in my pockets, walking against the flow of the panicked crowd, alone, striding toward the North City gate where the war was raging. When I arrived at the defense wall in the northern suburbs of Jiangqing, the sky had already been stained a blinding scarlet by the fires of war and the blood of monsters. Beneath the 50-meter-high alloy wall, dense crowds of low-level monsters, like a black tide, were frantically climbing up the wall. Piercing roars, the thunder of heavy machine guns, and the light of star spirit skills released by the awakened intertwined together, like a living hell. Hold the line! Third squad, fill the gap! The defense force commander roared hoarsely. But facing the endless, fearless monster tide, the human defense line remained precarious. At this critical moment, a purple-black afterimage swept onto the wall like lightning. That is, the great school beauty, Lin. I stopped in my tracks. Looking up, I saw Lin Shui floating in midair, the giant phantom of Frisia, behind her emitting a heart-palpitating pressure. She looked down upon the monster tide below, which pressed against the city like black clouds. There was no sorrow in her eyes, only the contempt one has for a swarm of insignificant ants, a bunch of animals, daring to pollute my sight. Lin Shui snorted coldly, raising her hand with an air of superiority, her fingertips flicking repeatedly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several blinding scarlet beams, death beams, swept out like high-power laser cutters. Wherever the beams passed, dozens of low-level monsters trying to climb the wall were instantly vaporized by the terrifying heat. Before they could even scream, they turned into floating ash. So strong! Is this the destructive power of an SSS-rank mythical star spirit? So cool! School Beauty Lin is practically a savior. The defenders and low-level awakened on the wall erupted in bursts of fanatical cheering. Under the shadow of death, they treated Lin Shui as a true deity. Besides Lin Shui were several youths dressed in ornate battle suits. They were vassals of the Lin family, who had also awakened S-rank star spirits, Jinyu Force series, at today's ceremony, now slaughtering low-level monsters with all their might, not even forgetting to let the accompanying drones create hype in front of the camera. Sister Shui, with today's battle, your title as the guardian deity of Jiangqing is now officially cemented. A burly lackey named Zhao Chang, who awakened the S-rank Recum power type star spirit, while smashing a monster's head with a single punch, smiled flatteringly. A smug, cold smile curled on Lin Shui's lips. This was the effect she wanted. She wanted not only the power to stand above all living beings, but also absolute prestige and the worship of the world. I stood at the reserve passage below the wall, watching this scene with cold eyes. This kind of hypocritical act made me feel physically nauseous. Just as I was preparing to ascend the wall via the lift, my gaze was suddenly drawn to a figure in the corner of the wall. It was a fat man. He wore an ill-fitting, mud-stained, cheap combat suit, pushing his hands forward with all his might, a weak yellow energy wave condensing in his palms, gasping for breath as he blasted a one-horned black wolf climbing the wall. Wang Pengzi. My eyes narrowed. He grew up with me in the orphanage since childhood. He is my only best friend in this world. In today's ceremony, he awakened the F-rank star spirit. Earthling Krillin. Although his destructive power wasn't great, his energy waves could barely repel the black wolf, but he fought desperately to hold a gap in the defense, without retreating a single step. Just then, Zhao Chang on the wall caught sight of Pengzi out of the corner of his eye. Sister Shui. Look, who is that? Zhao Chang's eyes shifted. He leaned closer to Lin Shui and whispered with a sinister smile. The brother of that waste, Siyu, an F-rank piece of trash. How dare he be an eyesore here? Truly bad luck. Lin Shui followed Zhao Chang's gaze and glanced at Pengzi. A flash of undisguised disgust instantly crossed her eyes. Seeing this fat guy reminded her of me. Reminded her of her divine dignity. Offended at the awakening square. F-rank trash. He's such an eyesore. Lin Shui spoke indifferently. Then she turned away, as if nothing had happened. But Zhao Chang immediately understood. He gave a cruel laugh. He sneered and strode toward Pengzi. At that moment, Pengzi was focused on dealing with the black wolf. Die! Pengzi roared, slamming the energy wave he'd spent ages gathering onto the wolf's head, finally blasting the black wolf off the wall. Exhausted, he leaned against the railing at the edge of the wall, gasping for air and heavy breaths. Before he could catch his breath, a massive force suddenly struck from behind. Oops. Sorry about that, fatty. Slipped my foot. Zhao Chang pretended to repel a monster, but his shoulder carried the terrifying power of an S-rank strength awakener, slamming violently into Pengzi's back. This impact, for an F-rank like Pengzi, was no different from being crushed by a high-speed heavy truck. Pengzi spat out a large mouthful of blood. His body instantly lost balance. He flew straight over the waist-high railing, falling into the bottomless black tide of countless snarling monsters below. Pengzi waved his arms in desperation in midair. A piercing scream tore through the night sky. The defenders on the wall cried out in shock. But it all happened too fast. There was no time to rescue him, and Zhao Chang stood on the ramparts, looking down at the falling Pengzi from above, a cruel sneer hanging on his lips. Lin Shui floated nearby. She didn't even turn her head, as if only an insignificant fly had died. It's over. Pengzi looked down at the gaping blood-red maws, the forest of fang monsters below, desperately closed his eyes. I stood in the passage, witnessing all of this with my own eyes, watching Pengzi spit blood and fall, watching Zhao Chang's cruel sneer, watching Lin Shui's cold back. An unprecedented rage, nearly bursting through my chest, exploded completely in this instant. You're dead. The string of reason in my mind snapped violently. Tenfold Kaioken. Boom. At the edge of the horizon, a terrifying sonic boom like a thunderstorm suddenly erupted. Everyone on the entire battlefield froze in their tracks at this moment. Lin Shui turned her head sharply. Her pupils suddenly contracted. She saw a pillar of light burning with violent dark red aura, at a terrifying speed that tore through space and ignored physics, soaring up from the reserve passage below the wall. The hard special alloy door was instantly crushed into a scrap metal disc by the recoil of my jump. I became a meteor burning with blood-colored karmic fire, drawing a blinding red parabola in midair, diving straight toward the center of the beast tide, where Pengzi was about to land, crashing down violently. What is that thing? Someone on the wall screamed in terror. Under the horrified gazes of everyone, that blood-red meteor struck the monster swarm beneath Pengzi with absolute precision, like a heavy meteorite impacting Earth head-on. A violent shockwave accompanied by dark red air currents swept outward frantically in a ring. Hundreds of low-level monsters within 50 meters didn't even have time to let out a scream. Under this pure and terrifying physical power, they were instantly turned into a mist of blood. The earth shook and dust soared to the sky. Once the gale cleared the smoke, a massive crater appeared in the middle of the dense beast tide, holding the unconscious Pengzi in one hand. I slowly stood up from the crater. My white shirt fluttered violently in the wind. Dark red aura, thick as substance, swirled around me. Within 50 meters around me, not a single demonic beast remained alive. Only shredded flesh and rivers of bloody gore covered the ground. I slowly raised my head. Across the 50-meter drop, those bloodshot eyes, clouded by extreme rage, locked onto Zhao Chang and Lin Shui on the city wall. Who did this? My cold voice, without the help of any amplification device, drowned out all the artillery and roars on the battlefield. Like a sentence from the god of death, it echoed clearly in the ears of everyone on the the wall. Atop the city wall, a dead silence lasted for a full 3 seconds. Everyone stared intently at the figure wreathed in dark red aura below. Their eyes were filled with unbelievable shock. That's Suyu, the trash fiancé of the school beauty. Lin, you've got to be kidding me. Didn't he choose an F-rank trash star spirit? What was that destructive power just now? Like a falling meteorite. Zhao Chang stood at the edge of the wall, looking down at me, who looked like a god of slaughter. His mocking face instantly froze. A sliver of fear stemming from biological instinct shot up his spine straight to his brain, making his legs tremble uncontrollably. But he quickly shook his head violently, forcing down the unease in his heart. Impossible. He must have used some kind of one-time high-grade survival item, or he's burning his own lifespan. How could a trash who awakened a monkey possibly possess such power? Zhao Chang gritted his teeth, shouting bluffingly to hide his fear, as if trying to embolden himself. Not far away, Lin Shui's brow furrowed deeply. She stared intently at the eerie red aura surrounding me, an inexplicable feeling of extreme agitation rising in her heart. As an awakener of an SSS-rank mythical star spirit, her intuition told her that the red power was extremely dangerous. Even, it made her feel a slight shiver. Roar! After a brief moment of stunned silence, the low-level demonic beasts below lacked the complex fear of humans. After smelling the thick scent of blood, they fell back into a frenzy. Hundreds of black wolves the size of armored vehicles, and several thick-skinned C-rank ironclad rhinos, roared and lunged toward me in the center of the pit like a tide. Brother, you, run! The fat guy I placed in a rock crevice opened his eyes weakly, seeing the beasts surging from all directions like a tsunami, reaching out in despair to push me away. Shut up. Just lie still. I pressed down on his shoulder without looking back, my tone leaving no room for argument. Then, I slowly turned around, facing the overwhelming tide of beasts. No hand signs, no chanting of spells, nor summoning any flashy star spirit avatars. In this world filled with supernatural abilities and magic, I chose the most primitive and purest way of fighting. I crouched slightly, pulling my right fist slowly back to my waist. 10 times. Kaioken! Boom! The dark red aura around me suddenly erupted, like a blood-red pillar of fire soaring into the sky. The already cracked earth beneath my feet let out a groan of overload at this moment, instantly collapsing into a terrifying 10-meter-wide crater. The next second I moved. The people on the wall couldn't even see my movement, only hearing a deafening, sharp sonic boom ripped through the air. The C-rank ironclad rhino charging at the front didn't even have time to scream. Its hard skull, capable of withstanding heavy armor-piercing shells, was like a watermelon hit head-on by a 10,000-ton hydraulic press, exploding instantly. Amidst the rain of blood, I became a streak of red lightning, slashing straight into the heart of the dense beast tide. This is the exclusive, pure aesthetics of violence of a scion. I threw a punch, the violent shockwave carving a visible white vacuum tunnel through the air. A dozen black wolves along the way were ground into meat paste by the airflow. With a roundhouse kick, the red shockwave swept across the ground like the scythe of death, instantly severing the lower bodies of dozens of demonic beasts. No wasted movements. Every punch, every kick, carried an absolute, crushing destructive power. Under the terrified and numb gazes of everyone, the beast tide that had plagued the defense force, requiring heavy crossfire to barely suppress, was like a paper toy before me. In just half a minute's time, I forcibly cleared an absolute vacuum zone with a 100-meter radius below the wall. Within this circle, the ground was littered with severed limbs, and blood flowed like a river. Some of the once brutal demonic beasts now actually let out whimpering sounds, tucking their tails and retreating desperately, no longer daring to step a single inch past this red warning line. Gulp. Atop the wall, countless people swallowed hard. The way they looked at me was no longer as if looking at a joke, but as if looking at a total monster. This is fucking F-rank? He didn't even use Star Spirit's skill. He's soloing the beast tide with pure physical strength. This guy is definitely a monster in human skin. I stopped in my tracks, casually shaking off the beast's blood from my fists. I took a deep breath of the blood-scented air. The strain of the 10x Kaioken made my muscles twitch slightly, but it also made the scion blood in me surge with excitement. I slightly bent my knees, my gaze locking on to Zhao Chang atop the 50-meter wall. I told you to answer my question. Boom. The ground beneath my feet instantly exploded into a hole over 3 meters deep. I became like a cruise missile launching from the earth, with a sharp whistling sound cutting through the air, completely ignoring gravity. Crossing the absolute height of 50 meters, with a thunderous thud, I crashed down onto the city wall. The heavy alloy wall was crushed by my feet, leaving 2 deep footprints. Cracks spread outward like a spiderweb. Zhao Chang's face turned pale with terror. He stumbled backward repeatedly, but relying on being an S-rank awakened, and with so many eyes watching, he gritted his teeth, unleashing the S-rank. Recum, Star Spirit Phantom. His muscles swelled violently like rock. Stop playing tricks. I am an S-rank power-type Star Spirit. Even if you use some forbidden technique, it doesn't change the fact that you're an F-rank piece of trash. Die! Zhao Chang roared, swinging a fist as large as a cauldron, with a whistling wind, smashing violently toward my face. My eyes were cold. I didn't even think about dodging. I simply raised my left hand slowly, with a soft click. Zhao Chang's full power punch, said to pierce armored vehicles, was effortlessly caught in my palm. No matter how hard he strained, face turning red, his fist couldn't move forward even a single millimeter. How is this possible? True despair finally appeared in Zhao Chang's eyes. Too weak. I didn't even give him a chance to beg. My right hand became a blur, gripping his throat tightly like an iron vice. The S-rank protective aura Zhao Chang took pride in, before my 5 fingers, shattered like a soap bubble. With one hand I lifted his massive 200-pound body, effortlessly hoisting him into the air like a small chick. I slightly tightened my grip, watching his face turn purple from suffocation. My voice was devoid of warmth. You're the one who pushed him, right? Stop it! Just then, an enraged female shout came from the side. Lin Shui could finally not stand it anymore. As an SSS rank mythical star spirit awakened, she would never allow a waste who had just been jilted and publicly humiliated by her to act so arrogantly right under her nose and on her turf. She hovered in midair, her right hand raised high, a blinding, highly concentrated purple energy sphere forming at her fingertips. The surrounding air distorted violently from the extreme heat. Suyu, don't think that using some evil art to overdraw your life for brute strength allows you to be insolent before me. Lin Shui's eyes were filled with killing intent and arrogance. Release him immediately, then kneel and apologize. Otherwise what? Not only did I not let go, but I turned my head, looking at Lin Shui, who thought herself a goddess, a mocking sneer curling on my lips. Then, under the terrified gazes of everyone present, I suddenly applied force with the hand gripping Zhao Chang's neck. Crack! A bone-chilling, crisp sound of fracturing bone echoed across the city wall. Zhao Chang's body, which had been struggling frantically, suddenly stiffened. His eyes rolled back. That proud S-rank star spirit phantom vanished instantly like a screen losing power, like discarding a bag of trash. I casually tossed his massive 200-pound body at Lin Shui's feet. He slumped to the ground like a pile of mud. Although he still breathed faintly, his cervical vertebrae were completely crushed. For the rest of his life, he was destined to be a cripple who couldn't even speak. You talk too much. I shook my wrist, my tone as calm as if stating an insignificant fact. The entire place fell back into a suffocating silence. All the defense soldiers and low-level awakened were like ducks with their necks gripped, mouths wide open, unable to make a sound. Suyu, you're courting death. After the brief silence, a sharp, piercing scream tore through the night sky. I raised my eyelids and looked at Lin Shui in front of me. She stared intently at me. That face, once refined and elegant, was now completely distorted by extreme anger and humiliation. As an SSS rank mythical star spirit awakener, a rarity in a century, she considered herself a high and mighty deity, the hope for the future of Jiangqing and all of Huaxia. She had just displayed the posture of a savior before everyone, basking in their worship. But now, in F-rank waste, whose marriage contract she tore up in public and treated as grass, had actually, right before her eyes, crippled her person like crushing an ant. This was 10,000 times more painful than a slap to the face. Boom! As Lin Shui completely lost control of her emotions, the giant phantom of Frozen Demon Frisia behind her suddenly opened its eyes. A visible purple-black aura surged toward the sky like a tornado. The alloy floor within 10 meters, the moment it touched this aura, immediately made a sizzling, corrosive sound, leaving behind pitted and scarred marks. Beep 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 beep. The highest grade energy detector in the city wall defense room let out a piercing red alarm at this moment. Alarm! SSS rank destructive energy fluctuation detected. Energy level has exceeded Jiangqing's single soldier defense limit. Get down! Fall back! All troops fall back! The defense commander screamed at the top of his lungs, his eyes filled with terror. Lin Shui, standing at the center of the purple storm, slowly raised her right hand. At the tip of her index finger, a highly concentrated purple energy sphere was expanding and compressing at a terrifying speed. The surrounding air, due to extreme heat and energy density, produced severe visual distortion. Frisia's signature finishing move, Death Energy Wave. Suyu, don't think that using some evil art to burn your lifespan for a bit of strength will allow you to be arrogant before me. Cruelty and crazed killing intent flickered in Lin Shue's eyes. Trash should stay obediently in the trash can. Take your ridiculous monkey and go to hell. The moment her words fell, Lin Shue flicked her finger sharply. SSH. That purple energy sphere instantly turned into a purple laser piercing heaven and earth, carrying a terrifying aura of absolute destruction, heading straight for my face. It was so fast that it left a lingering black vacuum trail in the air. It's over. Suyu is dead. The soldiers who had retreated far away closed their eyes in despair. Before this divine power that could instantly vaporize steel, how could a mortal body possibly withstand it? Fierce winds lashed my face. I looked at that death beam capable of insta-killing high-level demonic beasts, and not only did I not retreat half a step, I didn't even blink. The dark red Kaioken aura around me was as steady as breathing. Then, under everyone's incredulous gaze, I slowly raised my right hand toward that world-destroying purple beam. I extended 2 fingers, my index and middle fingers. Boom! The blinding purple light instantly swallowed my figure. A violent energy storm exploded with me at the center, instantly vaporizing the surrounding rubble and debris. The blinding light caused everyone to briefly lose their vision. Lin Shue lowered her arm, a cruel and triumphant sneer finally curling on her lips. She firmly believed that in this world, absolutely no one could take a direct hit from a mythical star spirit with their bare body. Even if I had just shown eerie brute strength in the face of absolute energy suppression, the only outcome would be to be turned to ash. However, a night breeze blew past, scattering the thick smoke and smog ahead. When the scene in the smoke became clear, the smile on Lin Shue's face instantly froze. Her pupils suddenly contracted to the size of a pinhead. How is this possible? As the smoke cleared, I was still standing steadily in place. Forget being turned to ash. Even my white shirt, already soaked in sweat, didn't have a single tear, and that purple death beam capable of collapsing city walls was now being held by my index and middle fingers, casually pinched between my fingertips. The purple destructive energy leaped and writhed frantically at my fingertips, making a piercing, sizzling sound, yet like a venomous snake held by its vital spot. It couldn't advance even half a millimeter. Is this what you are so proud of, this so-called power of a god? Through the purple light leaping between my fingers, I gazed at Lin Shue with the cold one uses for a dead person. Too weak. So weak it's simply boring. Just as the words fell, I suddenly applied force with my fingertips. A crisp, cracking sound rang out. That energy wave containing the terrifying SSS rank pressure, actually, like a fragile piece of glass, was crushed by my 2 fingers. Purple sparks scattered in the night sky like fireflies, eventually fading into nothingness. Impossible. I am mythical rank. How could you possibly? Lin Shue's mental defenses suffered a violent collapse at this moment. She instinctively tried to retreat, but it was already too late. The dark red aura around me flashed violently, without using any flashy displacement skills, just pure physical explosive power, left an afterimage behind, instantly crossing a distance of over 10 meters, appearing before Lin Shue like a ghost. Lin Shue was pale with shock, instinctively mobilizing all her astral spirit power, condensing a thick purple-black protective aura in front of her. I remained expressionless. Without any charging, I simply raised my right hand, and delivered a swift, clean slap. Slap! An extremely crisp and loud slapping sound, drowning out all the wind on the battlefield, echoing across the entire defense wall. The SSS rank protective aura Lin Shue took pride in, before this seemingly casual slap of mine, was practically more fragile than paper. It shattered completely with a crash. Lin Shue let out a scream, flying backward like a kite with a broken string. She tumbled a dozen times in midair, smashing heavily into the wall battlements 10 meters away. Half of her delicate cheek swelled up instantly. 5 bright red finger marks were shocking to behold. Crimson blood leaked from the corner of her mouth. Utterly miserable, the entire scene fell back into a suffocating silence. If my Souling the Beast tide shocked them, then this current scene was practically grinding their worldview into the dirt. An F-rank lower-tier warrior mocked by the entire internet not only crushed an SSS rank ultimate move with bare hands, but even slapped a god away. You deserve to die. Lin Shue clutched her swollen cheek, crawling up from the ground with disheveled hair, the malice in her eyes almost overflowing. My gaze was cold, stepping forward, preparing to permanently eliminate this conceited threat. Stop! Just then, a powerful purple aura suddenly descended from the sky. Immediately after, a middle-aged man in a military coat, with a cold face and a fierce scar on his left cheek, landed with a crash. Standing between Lin Shui and me like a massive mountain, behind him, appeared a figure wearing a white turban, a purple-skinned astral spirit in a white gravity cloak. S-rank star spirit, Namekian Piccolo. The newcomer was the commander of the Jiangqing Defense Force, one of the 10 great generals of Huaxia. Lei Zhan, young man, that's enough. Lei Zhan crossed his arms, his sharp eyes staring intently at me. A hint of undisguised shock and fervent admiration flashed deep in his eyes. You didn't just save people tonight, but also resolved the Beast Tide crisis single-handedly. The military will credit you with the primary merit. However, Lin Shui is a key protected person designated by the highest levels of the state, an SSS-rank strategic resource for fighting the Abyss in the future. Today, you cannot kill her. I stopped in my tracks, looking at the phantom of Piccolo behind Lei Zhan, feeling the thick and pure ki within him. I could feel it. The 10x Kaioken was still a heavy burden for me. Tearing protests were already coming from deep within my muscles. In my current state of forcing the 10x Kaioken over my base combat power, facing this battle-hardened S-rank commander would not be a wise move. Moreover, I have no intention of going to war with the entire state apparatus right now. I took a deep breath. The violent dark red Kaioken aura receded quickly like a tide, returning to that calm and indifferent appearance. I brushed off non-existent dust from my sleeve, glancing coldly at Lin Shui, who was slumped on the ground. Consider yourself lucky today to have kept your life. I turned around, walking toward the edge of the wall. Go home, wash your neck, and wait for me. If you dare touch my brother again, even if the heavens themselves protect you, I will still kill you. After speaking, I leaped down from the 50-meter-high wall, picking up the still unconscious fatty, with a few leaps, vanishing into the vast night. At the same time, at the Lin family's luxury mountainside villa in Jiangqing, a Ming Dynasty antique vase worth millions was smashed violently against the wall, shattering into pieces. An expensive marble coffee table was kicked over. The living room was a complete mess. All the servants huddled outside the door, trembling with fear, not daring to even breathe. Useless. All of you are useless. Get out. All of you, get out. Lin Shui was smashing everything in sight in the living room like a madwoman. Her face, once incomparably beautiful, now had its right side heavily swollen. Even after applying the highest-grade medical potions, the red marks of 5 fingers remained clearly visible. This was the greatest humiliation of her life. As a once-in-a-century SSS-rank mythical star spirit awakener, she was meant to be the 9 heavens goddess, revered by thousands and worshipped by the whole city. But tonight, right before everyone's eyes, she was actually crushed, and her ultimate move shattered by an F-rank waste. And she was slapped hard in public. Dad, are we just going to let this go? Lin Shui turned her head sharply, her eyes rimmed with red, snarling at the middle-aged man sitting on the sofa. Zhao Chong was crippled by him, and he slapped my face. If that bastard Suyu isn't torn to pieces, I'll be haunted by this for the rest of my life. On the sofa, Lin Jintian, head of the Lin family, had a face as dark as stagnant water. He slowly rotated 2 pure gold iron weights in his hand, making a heart-stopping grinding sound. Of course I won't let him go. A sinister, cold glint flashed in Lin Jintian's eyes. However, that old man Lei Zhan has already intervened. The Defense Army's department issued a top-level gag order, sealing off everything that happened on the city wall tonight. Not only that, the military intends to protect Suyu as a special talent through an exception. Hearing this, Lin Shui's eyes widened in disbelief. Is the military crazy? For an F-rank demi-human, they're going to oppose our Lin family? This is politics. Swear. Lin Jintian snorted coldly. Lei Zhan has always disliked us plutocratic families controlling the awakening resources. The eerie brute strength Suyu showed tonight gives the military the perfect excuse to balance us out. If we move against Suyu openly now, it would be a direct war with the Defense Army. Then let him die without anyone knowing. Lin Shui walked up to Lin Jintian, the killing intent in her eyes almost manifesting physically. Dad, the national selection for the alien secret realm is in 3 days. The realm's space is independent of the physical world, blocking all signals and surveillance. It has always been a place where life and death are left to fate. I want him in that realm, to be torn to shreds. Lin Jintian stopped rotating the weights, a cruel curve forming at the corner of his mouth. We are of the same mind. To ensure nothing goes wrong, I spent 100 million contacting the Gemini mercenary group through the underground black market. Gemini? Lin Shui was slightly stunned. They are a pair of twin assassins, who awakened a very rare SS rank star spirit combination, Android 17 and Android 18. Lin Jintian again stood up, overlooking the night view of Jiangqing, his tone chilling. The greatest characteristic of android star spirits is that there are no energy fluctuations in their bodies, and they possess infinite stamina. No matter what forbidden techniques Su Yu used, that terrifying explosive power cannot possibly last. Facing two tireless, undetectable top assassins, that monkey who only knows how to use physical strength is destined to be worn down to death. Hearing infinite stamina, the fire in Lin Shue's eyes gradually subsided, replaced by an extreme, morbid pleasure. Perfect, Su Yu. Let's see what you can fight me with this time. I want to watch with my own eyes as you are tortured to death in the realm. Scene cuts back to Jiangqing Underground Martial Arts Gym Medical Room. Looking at Fatty, whose breathing had stabilized in the advanced recovery pod, my heart finally stopped racing, although over a dozen bones were broken, and his internal organs were shocked. Fortunately, the rescue was timely. Combined with this world's advanced star spirit medical technology, Fatty's life has been saved. This debt has only just begun to be settled. I glanced coldly at the recovery pod, and turned to enter the adjacent private lounge. I took off the white shirt, soaked in sweat and beast blood and torn to shreds, turned on the shower, letting the cold water wash over my exhausted muscles. The load of the 10x Kaioken is indeed terrifying. Right now, every muscle fiber in my body is aching. If not for the Scion physique far exceeding ordinary people, for an ordinary F rank awakened, they would have exploded and died the moment they activated 10x gravity. Just as I turned off the faucet, dried my body and prepared to rest, that familiar, crisp mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my mind. Ding! Detected that the host has completed a hidden achievement. First cross rank crush. F rank absolutely crushes SSS rank. Achievement reward has been issued. Please check. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Scion exclusive God tier supply. Senzabine. X1. Hearing the words Senzabine, my movements came to a sudden halt, and then my pupils dilated slightly. An uncontrollable surge of ecstasy rushed through my heart. With a swish, an unremarkable green bean appeared out of thin air in my palm. I held the Senzabine between two fingers, examining it carefully under the lounge light. In the eyes of the people of this world, this might just be an ordinary bean, but in the eyes of a transmigrator like me who knows the Dragon Ball lore, this thing is simply the most unreasonable cheat level item in the universe. Senzabine. As long as the host still has a single breath left. After swallowing a Senzabine, you can instantly recover all stamina and injuries, clear all negative statuses, and reset your physical condition to its peak. Looking at the description on the system panel, the corners of my mouth rose uncontrollably. For other star spirit awakeners, a Senzabine is merely a trump card to save their lives. But for someone like me with Scion blood, it means an absurd bug-level mechanism. Near-death breakthrough Zenkai boost. Scions are known as a warrior race. Their most terrifying trait has never been initial combat power, but their limitless evolution on the edge of life and death. Every time they are beaten to the brink of death in battle, as long as they survive and recover, a Scion's base combat power will skyrocket several times over. My current base combat power is still only that of a lower-class warrior. Even after activating 10x Kaioken against a battle-hardened veteran S-rank like Lei Zhan, I would still feel the pressure. I clenched the Senzabine in my hand, my gaze becoming incredibly deep and fanatical. But with this Senzabine, as long as I am not instantly killed, I can artificially create one near-death breakthrough, letting my base combat power make a qualitative leap. I solemnly placed the Senzabine into the system space. Then my gaze fell on the desk, where a gold-stamped admission ticket just delivered by the military lay. National Otherworld Secret Realm Special Recruitment Tournament. The Secret Realm has an independent space, blocking all external signals. This is a true no-rules real combat elimination match. The Lin family definitely couldn't swallow what happened tonight. They wouldn't dare touch me openly, so the Secret Realm selection match is their best chance to strike. I picked up that admission ticket, rubbed it lightly between my fingers, and it turned into powder in my hand. Lin Shui, Lin Jingtian, I hope you're willing to spend some real blood, and send a few more fighters who can actually fight. I looked out at the dense night beyond the window, the corners of my mouth curling into a cold, arrogant smile. Don't let me get too bored. 3 days later, Jiangqing Defense Army Base, Otherworld Secret Realm Teleportation Array. As a violent spatial distortion washed over me, the scene before my eyes changed in an instant. The cold, high-tech military base vanished, replaced by a vast dark red jungle filled with savage, bloody aura. The sky was an oppressive dark purple, with 2 eerie blood moons hanging high above. The air was filled with a pungent smell of sulfur and a faint stench of blood. This place was the examination site for this National Special Recruitment Tournament, the Otherworld Secret Realm. According to the selection rules, all participating Awakeners would be randomly teleported to the edge of the Secret Realm. We had to cross this danger-filled jungle within 7 days, resist the plundering of magical beasts and other Awakeners, and finally reach the core tower at the center of the Secret Realm. I had just landed, before I even had time to observe the surrounding terrain, when an extreme sense of danger, like needles stabbing me, shot from my tailbone straight to the top of my head. No killing intent, no energy fluctuation, not even the sound of breathing. But this scion body of mine, whose combat instincts had long walked the edge of life and death, screamed a warning. An extremely lethal attack was closing in. 10x Kaioken. Without hesitation, the scion blood in my body instantly boiled. A violent dark red aura burst out of me like a solid shield the moment I activated Kaioken, and forced my body to twist in that thousandth of a second. Whoosh whoosh. 2 dazzling golden high-pressure energy blasts shot out at an angle that completely defied common physics. From the blind spot behind me, without the slightest warning, boom, the energy blasts grazed my shoulder and directly struck a 100-meter-high hill ahead. With a deafening explosion, the entire hill was instantly razed to the ground in blinding golden light. The violent shockwave uprooted dozens of towering trees nearby. I flipped several times in midair and landed steadily. I glanced at the shirt torn open on my shoulder, my eyes instantly becoming razor-sharp as I stared into the smoke-filled depths of the tree canopy. You actually dodged it. How surprising. A young man's voice, lazy and mocking, came from above the tree canopy. No wonder the Lin family put 100 million bounty on you. Your reflexes are pretty sharp. As soon as the voice fell, 2 figures, one male and one female, light as feathers, slowly descended from midair, blocking my path. At the same time, Android 17 also moved. He appeared like a ghost in my visual blind spot, both palms thrust forward. A highly concentrated golden energy wave had already condensed in his palms, completely cutting off every path of retreat. It was a killing formation from the very start. I crossed my arms in front of me like a cross, forcibly blocking Android 18's whip kick, powerful enough to shatter reinforced concrete. The violent force traveled through my arms and into my whole body. The dark red ground beneath my feet instantly cracked into spiderweb-like fissures. My entire body was driven backward more than 10 meters by that terrifying force, both arms going numb. Before I could even catch my breath, Android 17's energy wave had already blasted toward my chest like golden lightning. I roared furiously. The dark red Kaioken aura around me surged. My right hand clenched into a fist. With a sonic boom, I charged fiercely toward that energy wave. Boom! Golden light and red aura collided violently in midair. Violent energy ripples shredded every tree within 100 meters. I was sent flying backward again by the impact, smashing heavily through a massive boulder. Cough! Amidst the dust, I stood up, clutching my chest. A trickle of blood leaked from the corner of my mouth. To think you could catch my energy wave with your bare hands. Android 17 hovered in midair, looking down at me. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. The Lin family's intelligence was wrong. This isn't the physical strength an F-rank loser should have. That red power you just unleashed. You were burning your life to overdraw your potential, weren't you? Android 18 crossed her arms, looking at me with cold eyes, as if looking at a dead object. It's useless. Human bodies have limits. Every tear of muscle fiber, every vibration of the internal organs, will only slow your movements. But we are SS ranks with no fatigue, no pain, and infinite energy. How do you expect to win? Is that so? I wiped the blood from my mouth with my thumb. Far from despair, a chilling, manic smile curled on my lips. I suddenly pushed off the ground, turning myself into a bolt of red lightning, charging proactively at the 2 SS rank assassins. For the next 5 minutes, it was a brutal close-quarters brawl. I have to admit, the traits of the android star spirits are extremely broken at this stage. Although the 10x Kaioken gave me immense explosive power, my current base combat power in normal state is still only F rank. Facing 2 SS rank powerhouses with perfect coordination, infinite energy, and undetectable presence, my stamina was depleting at a terrifying rate. Boom! Android 17 caught a gap in my exhaustion and slammed a heavy punch into my chest, along with the audible sound of ribs snapping. I was sent flying like a cannonball, smashing through 3 towering trees in a row, falling heavily into a pool of blood. The red aura of Kaioken flickered like a candle in the wind, then finally extinguished. Intense tearing sensations and agonizing pain spread through my body. Even moving a finger felt impossibly difficult. difficult. It's over. Android 18 slowly walked up to me, looking down at me. She extended her index finger, a blinding golden light igniting at the tip, aimed straight at my forehead. Your physical body is indeed strong, and your willpower is impressive, she said emotionlessly. But in the face of an absolute energy gap, none of it matters. Die. Cough, cough, cough. Covered in blood, I lay at the bottom of the crater, staring at the golden light pointed at my head. But suddenly, I couldn't stop myself from chuckling softly. Do you know what the greatest cheat of the seance is? Is that? I asked in a raspy voice. What? The two assassins were slightly stunned, their brows furrowing. I looked at them, an unprecedented fervor and ferocity exploding in my eyes. It's that as long as you don't die, after recovering from the brink of death, your combat power doubles. I suddenly opened my mouth, curled my tongue, and swallowed the green senzu bean hidden deep in my mouth. In one gulp, the green senzu bean rolled down my throat into my stomach. Just 0.01 seconds after the bean entered my stomach, a miracle happened. A massive, pure, and gentle life energy exploded through my entire body like a bursting dam. Crack, 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 accompanied by a series of rapid bone-snapping sounds. The wound on my chest, deep enough to see the bone, closed, scabbed, and peeled off at visible speed, revealing skin as tough as if it were newborn. The broken ribs snapped perfectly back into place in an instant. My stamina, which had been completely exhausted, was instantly refilled like a dried lake becoming an ocean. No recovery period, no side effects. My physical state was forcibly reset to its peak in a single second. But this is only the beginning. In my mind, the system's crisp mechanical voice rang out like heaven's music. Host has completed. Near-death recovery. Scion passive mechanism perfectly triggered. Zenkai boost. Near-death breakthrough. Host's current base combat power is restructuring. Restructuring complete. Congratulations, host. Base combat power permanently increased. 10x. Base combat power, 10 times. This means, even if I don't use Kaioken now, my base physical strength has already reached the terrifying level of the previous 10x Kaioken. Boom. I don't even need to intentionally activate it. Once my base combat power increased tenfold, the Scion blood within me, which had been dormant due to severe injuries, erupted violently like an ignited supernova. What? Android 18, standing before me with her finger still pointing at my forehead. For the first time, a look of horror appeared on her cold face. The lethal golden light condensed at her fingertips was actually shattered by the invisible wave of energy surging spontaneously from my body. Fall back. His energy readings are skyrocketing. This is impossible. Android 17, hovering in midair, let out an incredulous roar. In the energy detection vision unique to their android star spirits, I, who had been on the verge of death, now had energy within me like a constantly expanding black hole, instantly exceeding the calculation limit of their system. Gale winds rose from the ground. The dark red earth, with me as the center, collapsed in a terrifying radial pattern. Countless fragments of rock, drawn by the powerful aura, slowly rose into the air, defying gravity. I slowly straightened my body from the deep pit. Sigh. I exhaled a breath of scorching air, casually cracking my neck. My bones popped like thunderous firecrackers. Every inch of muscle, every single cell, was cheering with joy, filled with a terrifying sense of power, as if I could shatter a planet with one punch. Warm-up is over. I looked up. In those pitch-black eyes flickered a chilling, cold killing intent. Now it's my turn. Stop posing. Even if you use some trump card for instant recovery, human stamina still has its limits. Quick, kill him. 17 and 18 glanced at each other. Both erupted with their strongest golden energy simultaneously. They turned into two streaks of golden lightning, attacking me from both sides with sonic booms. 17 condensed a massive energy sphere over 2 meters in diameter in his hand, while 18's whipkick, with a piercing shriek that tore through the air, headed straight for my temple. If this were 5 minutes ago, facing such a perfect, flawless killing blow, I would have had no choice but to tank it. But now, too slow. I stood my ground, without even activating Kaioken. In the eyes of me, whose base combat power had increased tenfold, the movements of these two top SS rank assassins were as slow as a 0.5x slow motion movie. I didn't even turn around, just casually raised my left hand to the side. 18's full power kick, capable of shattering a hill, was caught firmly in my palm with one hand. The massive recoil didn't make me retreat a single step. Instead, 18's face instantly turned pale. She felt as if her leg had kicked an immovable divine iron wall. How is this possible? 18's azure pupils contracted sharply. I told you, you don't understand science at all. I gave a cold smile. My left hand gripping her ankle, slammed downward. Boom! 18 was treated like a ragdoll, and slammed violently into the hard rocky ground, smashing a human-shaped crater several meters deep. Blood sprayed everywhere. 18, die! Seeing this, 17's eyes turned blood red. He slammed that massive, highly concentrated energy sphere toward my chest. You're going down too. I clenched my right fist, putting power into my waist. The pure physical strength surged tenfold in base form, converged without reservation into my right fist, and I punched straight into that energy sphere. No flashy effects, only extreme violence. Crack! With one punch, I shattered that golden energy sphere. The momentum of my fist didn't fade, carrying a terrifying sonic boom cloud, and slammed hard into 17's abdomen. Arg! 17's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The clothes on his back instantly exploded. The powerful force of the punch pierced straight through his body, snapping several towering trees behind him in a row. He flew back over 100 meters like a kite with a broken string, crashing heavily onto the ground. He twitched a couple of times, and completely lost consciousness. In just 2 moves, 2 top SS rank assassins, claimed to have infinite energy and tirelessness, were, by my base physical body, decisively and completely neutralized. This is the Scion. Near-death breakthrough, unreasonable, defying all laws, pure combat power suppression. I ignored the 2 lying on the ground, their fates unknown, and slowly closed my eyes, spreading my ki across the entire alien secret realm, attempting to find the target for the next hunt. But the moment my perception spread, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. In the deepest part of the secret realm, in the direction of the Korhai Tower, there is a massive, evil, and utterly repulsive purple-black aura, erupting violently. That is the aura of Lin Shue's star spirit, Frisia. Moreover, this aura is even more terrifying than it was on the city wall a few days ago. She seems to have broken through some kind of limit, and entered a stronger form. But what truly made my expression change was not Lin Shue's growth and power, but beneath that massive, evil purple aura, there is a faint, intermittent, familiar aura, like a flickering candle in the wind. It could be extinguished at any moment. That is Fatty's chi. Fatty is in danger. I snapped my eyes open, the killing intent in my eyes erupting like a physical force. Boom! The dark red earth beneath my feet collapsed instantly on a massive scale. I didn't even have time to activate Kaioken. My entire body turned into an afterimage, breaking the sound barrier, leaving a trail of white shockwaves in midair, like an urgent missile, rushing frantically toward the depths of the secret realm. Lin Shui, if you dare touch a single hair on his head. The gale howled in my ears. My eyes locked onto the direction of the Korhai Tower, my teeth grinding together. I swear, I will absolutely tear you to pieces. Boom! On the dark red horizon, a white shockwave, like a blade splitting the sky in 2, was advancing frantically toward the center of the alien secret realm at an unimaginable speed. That was me, having broken the sound barrier. At this moment, I hadn't even activated Kaioken. Relying solely on my base physical strength, which had surged tenfold, I created a piercing sonic boom in the air. The gale blew my hair straight back. My eyes were filled with killing intent, cold to the extreme. Meanwhile, at the Korhai Tower in the center of the secret realm, it is a giant altar constructed from pure obsidian, and right now, around this altar, a symbol of the secret realm's highest honor, it has become a true slaughterhouse. Over 100 top awakened participants now lie in pools of blood like dead dogs. Among them were not a few A-rank, or even S-rank elites. But now, only the deepest fear remains in everyone's eyes. So these are the so-called national elites, truly pathetic and fragile. At the very top of the altar, Lin Shui hovered in midair. Above her head was a secret realm core crystal emitting a dense purple light. As energy from the crystal poured continuously into her body, the phantom of the Frisia, star spirit behind her, was undergoing a terrifying mutation. The originally petite demon body began to grow taller, muscles bulging like jagged rocks, and 2 massive, blade-like black horns grew from its head. SSS rank mythical star spirit, Frisia, second form. Do you feel it? This is the true power of a god, standing above all living beings. Lin Shui spread her arms and laughed wildly at the sky. A liquid-like purple-black pressure spread outward like a tsunami. The hard obsidian altar began to crack inch by inch under this pressure, and in a corner of the altar, a chubby figure was gritting his teeth, using his body to protect several heavily injured classmates behind him. It was Wang Fatty. His cheap combat suit was already soaked in blood. The phantom of the F-rank, Earthling, star spirit was so dim it seemed it could vanish at any moment. Facing Lin Shue's almost tangible pressure, his legs were trembling uncontrollably, but he still didn't retreat a single step. "Wan Fatty, if I remember correctly, you're the best friend of that waste Suyu, right?" Lin Shui glanced down at him, a cruel, mocking smile curling on her lips. That piece of trash was lucky to have hidden until now. "Since that's the case, I'll start with you, and let the whole world see the fate of those who oppose me, Lin Shui." Lin Shui slowly raised her right hand. At the tip of her index finger, a highly concentrated purple energy sphere was expanding rapidly. "Run! Run, all of you!" Fatty shouted desperately to the classmates behind him, then suddenly raised both hands above his head, exerting the last shred of chi in his body to condense an extremely weak yellow energy blast, a prototype of the Destructo disc, attempting a final act of resistance. "The struggling of an ant," Lin Shui sneered, the energy sphere at her fingertip turning into a pillar of destruction, blasting downward with a roar. Just at this critical moment, boom, a dark red meteor, like a falling star from beyond the heavens, with an overwhelmingly dominant posture, crashed instantly from the horizon onto the altar. A violent shockwave surged upward, forcibly knocking the purple beam fired by Lin Shui off course, slamming into a hilltop hundreds of meters away, instantly leveling it to the ground. As the dust settled, a figure in a tattered white shirt, surrounded by raging dark red flames of chi, stood like an immovable demon god, stood in front of Fatty. Fatty's eyes widened. Tears of ecstasy and disbelief instantly surged out. "Suyu." In midair, Lin Shue's pupils suddenly contracted. Her expression instantly turned extremely grim. "You're actually not dead. What were those two wastes from the Twin Stars doing? You'll be joining them soon." I slowly raised my head. The load of 10x base combat power stacked with Kaioken made my muscles feel as if they were on the verge of exploding. In those pitch-black eyes, the killing intent had materialized. "Arrogant monkey, you think defeating two SS rank defects gives you the right to act tough before me?" Lin Shui sneered coldly. The phantom of second form Frisia behind her let out a deafening roar. "Open your dog eyes and look closely. I am now in my second form. My combat power has already broken the limit of 1 million. Die." Before she finished speaking, Lin Shue's figure vanished instantly. In an instant, she had already appeared above my head. That thick, powerful tail, carrying a sonic boom that tore through the air like a purple steel whip, lashed violently at my temple. Too slow. My gaze sharpened. My body sank slightly. My right fist struck from bottom to top, carrying a ring of white sonic boom clouds, slamming hard into Lin Shue's sweeping tail. Fist and tail collided, erupting in a deafening clash of steel. The violent shockwave tore up a thick layer of the surrounding obsidian ground. "What?" Lin Shui let out a cry of shock. She felt as if her strike hadn't hit flesh and blood, but had struck an indestructible divine iron. The intense recoil left half of her body paralyzed. "I told you, you know nothing about the power of a scion." I gave her no chance to breathe. I pushed off the ground violently, appearing before her as if I had teleported. A storm of heavy punches, carrying dark red flames of chi, poured frantically onto Lin Shue's protective aura. Every punch carried the extreme destructive power of a tenfold increase, driving Lin Shui back step by step in midair. Dense cracks even appeared on her protective aura. "Bastard! You lowly demi-human!" Lin Shui was beaten without any way to fight back. The arrogance and humiliation in her heart completely exploding. She realized that, in close quarters combat, her proud mythical star spirit was being completely suppressed by this monkey. "Since you love playing the hero so much," a flash of extreme, sinister malice crossed Lin Shue's eyes. She braced herself to take one of my heavy punches, using the recoil to instantly put 100 meters between us. Then, she didn't aim her attack at me, but instead turned her head sharply, spreading her fingers, aiming dead-on at the defenseless Fatty and the heavily injured students below. Continuous death beams, swoosh 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 swoosh. Dozens of crimson lasers, like a dense rain, poured down overwhelmingly toward Fatty below. Every single beam was enough to pierce through a mountain peak. "Lin Shui, you're asking for death." My eyes nearly split with rage. With Fatty's physical body, if even a graze hit him, he would be vaporized instantly. There was no time to hesitate. I forcibly reversed the violent energy within my body, abandoned the pursuit, and turned into a streak of red lightning, blocking the path in front of Fatty. A cringeworthy piercing sound rang out, even though my body was as hard as iron with the 10x power boost. Under the full power continuous piercing moves of an SSS rank mythical star spirit, I still couldn't completely block them. Several blinding splashes of blood erupted on my shoulder, abdomen, and thigh. I let out a grunt. The massive impact slammed me heavily into a rubble pit behind. Blood instantly stained the ground red. The dark red Kaioken aura flickered twice under the heavy blow, and finally extinguished powerlessly. The terrifying purple pressure of second form Frisia pressed down on me like 100,000 mountains, making it incredibly difficult for me to even stand up. Brother Yu, Fatty scrambled and crawled to the edge of the pit, looking at the holes of blood in my body, and began to cry breakdown. Why did you block it? Just leave me alone. Ha! In midair, Lin Shui looked down at me spitting blood in the rubble pit, letting out a spine-chilling laugh. See that, Suyu? This is the weakness of bottom-tier trash like you. You thought a bit of brute force was enough to slay a god? Before my divine power, you're nothing more than a stray dog gasping for breath on the ground. Lin Shui slowly descended from the air, stopping in midair, a dozen meters above the ground. She watched me, furious yet pinned down by her overwhelming pressure. The brutality in her eyes reached its peak. She licked her lips. Her gaze shifted to the trembling fat guy beside me. Suyu, aren't you the one who values loyalty the most? Aren't you the one who loves playing the hero? A smile of extreme malice curled on Lin Shui's lips. Then I shall be merciful, and let you watch with your own eyes how your dear brother is, bit by bit, crushed into meat paste by me. As her voice trailed off, an invisible telekinetic force, like a giant hand, instantly gripped the fat guy's throat, yanking him violently from the ground into midair. Arg! The fat guy let out a scream of agony. The invisible telekinesis was like an unseen iron hand, clamping tightly around his neck, suspending his 200-pound body 10 meters in the air. The intense pressure instantly turned his face purple. His bones let out a cringe-inducing crack under the telekinetic crush. My eyes nearly burst with rage. I desperately tried to stand up, but because I had endured those continuous death beams to protect him, coupled with the severe exhaustion from the 10x Kaioken, my muscle fibers were torn extensively. The terrifying pressure of second form Frisia weighed on my back like a mountain, making every struggle come with piercing pain. Stop struggling, Suyu. Enjoy this performance prepared specifically for you. Lin Shui floated in midair, a morbid pleasure playing on her lips. She didn't even use her hands. With just a slight flicker of her eyes, the fat guy in the air was violently yanked outward by an invisible force. His limbs were forced wide into a humiliating X shape. Didn't you keep saying that potential is more important than the gods? Didn't you pride yourself on your loyalty? Lin Shui sneered, slowly raising the index finger of her right hand. A blinding crimson light ignited at her fingertip. I'll let you see with your own eyes right now, in the face of absolute divine power, how the loyalty you're so proud of is actually so fragile. Sizzle. A thin red laser containing terrifying heat shot instantly from Lin Shui's fingertip. She didn't aim for his vitals. Instead, she precisely pierced through the fat guy's right shoulder. Ah! The fat guy let out a heart-wrenching scream. An ordinary F rank awakens. Physical strength isn't much greater than a normal person's. This kind of high-temperature burn piercing through the body made him instantly convulse in pain. Tears and snot streamed down uncontrollably. Stop it, Lin Shui! Come at me if you dare! My eyes were bloodshot, my nails digging deep into the hard obsidian ground. Blood seeped from between my fingertips. Don't be in such a hurry. You're next. The smile on Lin Shui's face grew even more cruel. Her fingertip flickered again, and 2 more beams pierced through the fat guy's left leg and right arm. Arg! It hurts. Brother Yu, save me! The intense pain completely shattered the 18-year-old boy's psychological defenses. The fat guy struggled desperately in midair. Blood dripped from his wounds onto the altar below. He looked at me, his eyes filled with extreme terror of death, watching the brother I grew up with being tortured like a ragdoll in midair. My heart felt as if it were gripped tightly by a giant hand. The tearing pain made it almost impossible for me to breathe. Lin Shui, I swear, I will tear you into 1,000 pieces. My voice became hoarse and trembling from extreme rage. Every word was squeezed through my gritted teeth. Tear me to pieces? With you? A piece of trash lying on the ground? Lin Shui acted as if she'd heard the greatest joke in the world. She let out a bored yawn, her eyes turning cold to the core. The game is over. In your next life, remember to choose a better star spirit. Oh, right, trash like you won't even have a next life. The red light at Lin Shui's fingertip erupted completely, transforming into a highly concentrated death energy sphere the size of a basketball. Brother Yu, the fat guy seemed to realize something. He looked down at me, my eyes nearly bursting. His face, once distorted by fear, miraculously became calm at this moment. Enduring the agonizing pain, with an extremely faint voice, he shouted one last sentence to me. Live on, avenge me. Boom! The crimson death energy sphere instantly swallowed the fat guy whole. The blinding red light illuminated the entire dark purple sky of the secret realm. No final words, not even a complete corpse was left behind. Under the full eruption of the SSS rank mythical star spirit, the fat guy's body, amidst extreme despair and pain, was instantly vaporized, turning into stardust filling the sky. A few drops of warm blood drifted down from midair, landing softly on my cheek. That was the last trace Fatty left behind in this world. The wind stopped howling at this moment. The core altar of the entire alien secret realm fell into an eerie, deathly silence. Lin Shui dusted off her hands with disdain, looking down at me from above, as if she had just crushed an insignificant bug. Finally quiet. Now, it's your turn. Before Lin Shui could finish, her voice abruptly stopped. She frowned slightly, looking down into the rubble pit with uncertainty, because she discovered that I, who was just struggling and roaring in rage, had suddenly become quiet. My head was lowered, messy black hair covering my eyes. I lay motionless in the rubble pit. Even my heavy breathing had completely vanished. Scared witless? Lin Shui sneered. However, what she didn't notice was, the heavily injured and unconscious students around the altar were being slowly pushed away by an invisible, oppressive force. How dare you? A voice extremely deep and raspy, as if coming from the deepest depths of the nine hells, slowly echoed through the dead ruins. My body began to tremble violently and uncontrollably. This wasn't because of fear, nor was it because of pain, but a violent power hidden deep within my genes was tearing through the shackles called reason, about to burst through this shell, playing tricks. An inexplicable sense of dread rose in Lin Shui's heart. She suddenly raised her hand, preparing to blast me to death, but I ignored her. I looked at the drop of Fatty's blood on the back of my hand. The image of him being pierced by a beam and screaming in despair replayed in my mind. Since childhood, in this cold world, only Fatty would secretly give me the resources he saved. Only he would stand in front of me when everyone mocked me. But now he's dead. Dead without even a speck of ash left. The string of reason snapped completely. Taking my friend, I suddenly raised both hands, gripping the hard obsidian ground tightly. My fingertips snapped from the sheer force, blood dripping everywhere. Rumble. Without warning, the sky of the entire alien secret realm instantly turned pitch black. Countless thick dark red lightning bolts like dancing silver snakes frantically tore through the heavens. The earth began to shake violently, with me as the center. The indestructible obsidian altar cracked like a spiderweb. Massive fissures spread in all directions. What is going on? Lin Shui discovered in horror that her proud mythic level pressure was being forcibly torn apart by this sudden terrifying phenomenon. An extremely terrifying, oppressive chi, like a materialized wind, soared up from within my body. The tons of rubble around me, even completely defying the laws of physics, began to float upward into the air. Unforgivable. I slowly raised my head. My once calm face was now completely distorted. Unforgivable. Along with a violent roar that seemed to tear vocal cords and shatter souls, the Scion super energy built up to the limit within me exploded completely at this moment. Boom! A blinding golden pillar of light shot straight into the clouds, instantly lighting up the dark sky of the realm like broad daylight. My originally black hair stood on end under the wash of violent energy, instantly turning into a blinding pure gold. The golden violent aura was like a pillar of fire reaching the sky, carrying a destructive heat and pressure, instantly pulverizing everything within hundreds of meters into dust. The legendary Super Scion. First stage descends. The gale subsided. I slowly stood up from the deep pit, golden aura burning fiercely around me, emitting crackling energy explosions. I slightly raised my head, looking at Lin Shui, who was completely stunned in midair. Those were ice-cold turquoise eyes devoid of any human emotion. Lin Shui, who was superior just a second ago, the moment she met those eyes, felt as if her heart were gripped by an invisible hand. A strong tremor of wanting to kneel and beg for mercy surged from her soul. Now, I looked at her, my voice cold and devoid of warmth. It's your turn to feel what true despair is. The golden light, like the rising sun, completely dispelled the oppressive dark red of the alien secret realm. I float silently in midair, surrounded by a raging golden aura. Every sliver of leaking energy triggers a series of rapid sonic booms in the air. In my emerald eyes, the gentleness and patience of a human are gone, leaving only absolute coldness and endless killing intent. 50 meters away, Lin Shui's 10-meter-tall Frisia second-form phantom, under the pressure of the golden aura, actually began to tremble violently and uncontrollably, as if encountering its natural predator. This is absolutely impossible. Lin Shui snapped back from her extreme terror. Her distorted face was filled with madness and jealousy. You're just F-rank trash. A waste who couldn't even protect his fiancée. How can you unleash a pressure stronger than mine? She screamed shrilly, suddenly clapping her hands above her head. She forcibly extracted the realm core crystal above the altar, turning it into a massive stream of purple energy, rushing frantically into her body. I am SSS rank. I am a future god. Just die already, lowly half-beastman. Blood tears streamed from Lin Shui's eyes. She squeezed out all her star spirit power without reserve, condensing a supergiant destruction energy sphere over 50 meters in diameter. That purple-black energy sphere, like a falling dead star, carrying a terrifying aura capable of destroying the entire realm, blotted out the sun as it crashed down toward me. The heavily wounded students around closed their eyes in despair. Under a wide-range strike of this level, even the aftershocks would be enough to leave no trace of their remains. However, facing this strike like the arrival of doomsday, I simply raised my right hand expressionlessly. No charging, no dodging. I just reached out a hand, fingers spread open, meeting that massive sphere of death energy. A deafening roar echoed through the sky, under the horrified gazes of everyone. That destruction sphere, capable of leveling an entire mountain range, was actually stopped midair by my single hand. Violent purple energy raged wildly in my palm, attempting to devour me, yet it couldn't break through that seemingly thin golden aura. How is this possible? Lin Shui's proud ultimate move was caught with one hand. Her psychological defenses completely collapsed at this moment, retreating repeatedly. You, what kind of monster are you? Monster. My emerald eyes gazed at her coldly. My fingers suddenly clenched. That massive sphere of death energy, like a fragile balloon, was crushed instantly by my single hand. A rain of purple light poured down from the sky, like a grand yet desolate meteor shower, announcing the end of the myth. Now, it's my turn. Before my voice could fade into the air, I had already vanished from the spot. Not even a sonic boom had time to echo. Lin Shui only felt a flash of golden light, and a hand like an iron pincer had already gripped her throat tightly. Lin Shui's pupils dilated instantly. The protective aura of her Frisia's second form, in the face of a super science power, was more ridiculous than a sheet of window paper. I lifted her into midair with one hand. The golden aura scorched her skin, making a piercing, sizzling sound. Didn't you love being superior? Didn't you love controlling the life and death of others? I looked at her face, distorted by suffocation and fear. There was not a shred of pity in my voice. In the face of absolute power, the divine power you were so proud of isn't worth a damn. Let me go! Lin Shui desperately clawed at my arm, but her attacks hitting my body weren't even enough to itch me. When Fatty was begging you for mercy, did you let him go? A flash of brutality crossed my eyes. My left hand clenched into a fist, carrying the raging golden aura. I slammed a heavy punch into her abdomen. Lin Shui violently spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with organ fragments. The Frisia star spirit phantom behind her let out a shrill scream, and was actually cracked wide open by this single punch. But this was far from enough. I released my grip on her throat. The moment her body began to fall, a wood kick slammed down like a battle axe onto her shoulder. The sound of bones shattering was crisp and clear. Lin Shui was like a purple meteorite, crashing heavily onto the obsidian altar, smashing a giant crater over 10 meters deep. A one-sided slaughter. This wasn't a battle of equals at all, but a dimensional strike by a super scion against a so-called god. I slowly landed on the edge of the crater, looking at the woman at the bottom, covered in blood with disheveled hair. A woman who no longer had a shred of pride left. Her star spirit origin was on the verge of collapse. Suyu, you can't kill me. Lin Shui struggled to crawl backward. Deep terror finally surfaced in her eyes. I am an SSS rank under national protection. If you kill me, the Lin family will not let you go. Nor will the military, facing death. And you're still threatening me with such ridiculous things. I looked at her expressionlessly. My hands slowly came together at my waist. A blinding azure light quickly condensed and compressed in my palm. This was the first time in this world that I used the finishing move etched deep within a scion's soul. The blue light illuminated the entire pit. The terrifying energy fluctuations caused the surrounding space to distort violently. No, stop. Lin Shui felt the deathly threat capable of erasing her completely, and screamed in despair. Ha! Golden aura and the blue sphere of light shone together. The miserable state of Fatty before death flashed through my turquoise eyes. I thrust my hands forward violently. A massive, heaven-piercing beam of azure energy, with a terrifying force that crushed everything in its path, roared toward Lin Shui at the bottom of the pit. In the thousandth of a second before the blue beam swallowed Lin Shui, an extremely strong spatial fluctuation suddenly erupted from her chest. An ancient golden scroll shattered out of thin air, turning into a spatial black hole. Just an instant before the Kamehameha hit her body, it forcibly sucked Lin Shui inside. Boom! The blue energy beam, having lost its target, pierced straight through the entire obsidian altar, plowing a bottomless, terrifying abyss several kilometers long into the realm's earth. As the light faded, I stood at the edge of the abyss. The golden aura around me slowly receded. My black hair fell back down. A spatial leap scroll, huh? I looked coldly at the place where Lin Shui disappeared. To protect this SSS rank talent, the Lin family truly spared no expense. That level of spatial scroll. There aren't even 3 in all of China, however. So what? That Kamehameha the First just fired. Although it didn't hit her body directly, but the terrifying energy aftershock had completely shredded her star spirit origin. Now Lin Shui has not only lost all her power, but has lost even the possibility of reawakening. From a high and mighty god, she has completely fallen to a useless person, worse than an ordinary human, for someone as arrogant as her. This is 10,000 times more painful than death. I turned around, walking toward the corner of the altar. There was a pool of dark red blood, the only trace Fatty had left behind. I knelt down, gently picking up a handful of blood-stained soil, carefully placing it into my inner pocket. Fatty, your revenge. I've settled half of it. As for the remaining debts, I will collect them one by one, with interest. I looked at the dark purple sky, silently making a vow in my heart. System. I remember that in this world, there's a way to resurrect the dead, right? I asked in my mind. Ding! Host permissions updated. Main quest module activated. Main quest. Find the 7 wishing orbs, dragon balls scattered across the globe. Reward. Summon the divine dragon to grant any one wish, including resurrecting those whose souls have not completely dissipated. Hearing the system's answer, a glimmer of light finally flashed in my pitch-black eyes. Wait for me, brother. I stood up and looked around. The entire core area of the secret realm had been turned into ruins. Those surviving awakeners were all kneeling on the ground, looking up at me with eyes full of awe, as if seeing a god. The National Special Recruitment selection came to a close. No SSS rank god reached the top. Only an F rank lower-level warrior, mocked by the entire internet, using the purest violence, crushed the foundation of the